Oh, hey gang, pretty quick video today. I just want to answer one of the most common questions I've been getting and questions I've been asking lately. Are we headed for a significant real estate market shift? So for a while in Denver and a lot of places nationally, we have been in this quote unquote crazy market. 2021 was pretty wild. 2022 thus far has been even wilder. Multiple offers, and by multiple I mean often double-digit offers, 50 to 100,000 to more over asking price on a lot of single-family homes. Absolute bloodbath every weekend when you're taking buyers out, that type of thing. But with rising interest rates and supply coming up a little bit, a lot of people have been asking, are we headed for a market shift? So here is my answer to that question. No, we are not headed for a market shift because we are already there. That was kind of annoying how I did that, but allow me to explain. At the time of this recording, over the past few weeks, things have changed significantly. And a lot of the factors that we've been waiting for, if you watched my videos from, say, early in 2022, are finally coming to fruition. These things are finally actually happening. They've been all theoretical up till this point, but now they're happening. So there's two ways to look at this. One is statistically, the other way is anecdotally, and I'm going to go through both of them with you real quick here. So first off, statistically, the most recent full data set we have is from the month of April. At the end of April, we had 3,204 active listings in the Denver metro. That is up 44% from the previous month. It's also up 23% year over year. So rather than just being a seasonal thing, you know, January was nothing, and then a little more in February, and then finally we're getting to the selling season, we're seeing more inventory than we saw at this point last year. And more supply obviously means a more balanced market. Typically we see the majority of the inventory, the biggest jumps come from May through July, but it's looking like it's happening earlier this year, which is a good thing for everyone involved. So that's the number one thing, but inventory is still selling super fast. There's all these buyers out there that have been starved for looking for homes for a long time that are finally trying to buy one. So median days on market in April was still 8. 8 is almost nothing. So that buyer demand is obviously still there. But another factor that is driving this market shift is a reduction in demand, however slight, however much it is, due to rising interest rates. If you've been following the news, you've obviously seen this. We had seen over the past 2 years interest rates go below 3. Some people were getting 2.8, 2.6, that type of thing. Now for a 30-year fixed, you're commonly around 5.5%, which still historically is very good, but it's significantly different than it was, say, a year ago, and it affects your buying power quite a bit. Your monthly payment is going to be more, significantly more, just in that jump in interest rate. Another data point we can look at is showing activity. So this is how many showings a home will have in its first weekend on the market. And showings per listing peaked at around 20 earlier this year. And right now it's dropped to just around 14. And that number will continue to fall as we get further into the summer months. So that is some of the statistical data that show we are shifting away from the extreme seller's market and more into a more normal seller's market, whatever normal means. The other thing we can look at too is the anecdotal data, and this is stuff that I have gathered just from being out there every day, talking to other realtors and doing it myself. So I'm posting this video on May 12th, and as I mentioned, the last 2 to 3 weeks, we have seen a big shift from how things were in January and February. And the number one thing you notice is how many showings happen on a listing. It used to be very difficult to even get in if there weren't overlapping showings allowed on a listing, and now you can pretty much set your schedule. The good ones still fill up, but it's not like, oh, I have to log on to the showing system at midnight the day it becomes active, which some people were having to do just to get a showing in that first weekend on the market. As I mentioned, if you are offering on a property, even if it's a good one, you may be competing against 2 or 3 other offers rather than 10 earlier in the year. I had a listing live last weekend. We went under contract. We had 4 offers, and it was a pretty darn good listing. And that was good for this time of year. It may have been way, way more a few months ago. And there are lots of properties, even good properties in very desirable areas, lasting through the first weekend. Going into their second week. Oh, second week on the market, which sounds crazy, but it is kind of crazy. Lasting that first weekend, not having any offers or not having any good offers would have been unheard of in January and February. I've talked to a number of agents who have been shocked at the reduction in showings in their property in the first weekend on the market. I've talked to someone who had 5 or 6 showings. Heard from one who had 3 showings at a good property in Denver. These are the things that when you're out there in the field and doing this stuff, you've been waiting for, but it's almost hard to believe that it's actually happening just because of how hot things have been for so long. So it is a seasonal shift. Like I said before, the inventory just seems to be coming on earlier this year, but that rise in interest rates is really affecting buyer demand and what's going on too. So we're seeing a larger shift, and maybe we're coming out of this extreme seller's market that we've had for at least the last 2 years. So what this means, if you are a seller, no, it doesn't mean rush and get your home on the market as soon as possible. That ship of the super bidding war may have sailed. So it's really just time to reevaluate your strategy. Still a great time to sell your home. You still have a historical amount of equity and have built that equity in the last few years, but it's time to adjust your strategy. I was just talking with a seller this morning, and I am significantly adjusting my pricing strategy because we're not aiming to get the bidding war as much anymore. We're approaching it a little bit differently. I'm of course happy to talk to you about that if you'd like. And if you are a buyer, now is the time. I mean, you can finally breathe. Yes, interest rates are higher, but they are still historically very, very good. And if you've been trying to get into a house and haven't been able to, or have been turned off by the market, it has been so annoying, guys, for buyers. I mean, I get it. Trust me, I work with a lot of buyers. It's been awful. And now, just finally, everybody, it seems like, is able to finally get into a house where they might have been missing out. They might have been the second or third best offer a few months ago. Now they're out there, and there's so many more homes to choose from. You're actually able to choose a little bit and find what you like rather than just having to sell the farm just to get into anything. So it is a good time to be a buyer right now. That's it. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much, but that is kind of where we're at. It is an odd time. It feels strange, but it's good for everyone involved. It is just good to have a more healthy, balanced market. We're still not balanced. We still got a ways to go, but it's a more balanced market. So if you guys have questions, I will put my contact info below. As always, I would love to be your go-to Denver real estate resource. Otherwise, we'll talk soon.